Hey, it's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, November 1st. So welcome to November. If you haven't listened to November's energy forecast, I'm going to recommend you do so that you have a big picture, a huge understanding, and a better perspective on what it is that we are about to encounter in the month of November. Of course, we are starting November on a Tuesday. Mars ruled, if you will, and Mars just went retrograde. So we definitely are going to be lacking a lot of physical energy, passion, and desire in order to initiate and bring things to life. That's okay. We're in eclipse season, which means that we are under the influence of wild card energy. The things that are meant to happen to us will happen without our focus, without our exertion, and we just have to sit back and see how the universe is about to sort us out. Here on November 1st, we are about to have our first quarter moon taking place in Aquarius energy. This is the halfway point between the new moon, partial solar eclipse that we had in Scorpio on October 25th, and the full moon, total lunar eclipse that we are going to have at 16 degrees in Taurus on November 8th. This is the halfway point. This is the point of consciousness. This is the point of action. This is the point of making choices, making decisions, and seeing what has come full circle since that new moon kicked off and where it is that we are projecting our intentions, our insights, our wants and needs and desires in our lives, and seeing how the universe is going to bless us, remove some elements, give us a couple of things to work with that, of course, will come full circle into full illumination on that full moon total lunar eclipse in Taurus. So we have 9 different aspects here today. All 9 involve the moon, which means that this is a moon day. Having the moon in Aquarius means that we are emotionally detached enough in order to act as the observer, to see all the inner workings of our mind and of the outer realm of existence from a non-emotional point of view, and instead our higher selves. We are tapping into our intuition. We are seeing the big picture, the big vision of how things are interconnected, where it is that there is room to improve, room to progress, and where it is that we have to focus our sights on the future. So starting out, we have the moon semi-squaring Neptune. This isn't really a good jam, but it is putting us at a particular situation where we have to blend our intellect with our intuition. We have to blend our realistic goals with logic and practicality with our dreams, our imagination, our creativity. Now, it may make it very hard for us to kind of align with our intuition because, of course, that Neptune energy wants us to solely rely on our intuition, rely on our higher selves, while the Aquarian energy is our highest intellect. So there is a lot of room for discernment, room for judgment, room for figuring out what is working, what isn't from our mental plane instead of our higher self, instead of our higher intuition. So there is this little bit of a tension point. It would be advisable if we can kind of, bring a little bit of column A and bring a little bit of column B into the mix in order for us to make an informed decision by listening to our gut and listening to our mind. However, there's likely going to be a battle royale within us in order to figure out who wants to lead, the egoic intellect or the higher self intuition. At 2:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the moon squaring the sun. That gives us our first quarter moon. Now, the sun in Scorpio is shining a bright light on what it is that we need to change, what it is that we need to transform through the act of death, endings, and closures. And of course, once we get that out of the way, we have the space to rebirth ourselves, to basically resurrect and renew ourselves as the beautiful phoenix that, of course, Scorpio season is represented by. The moon in Aquarius, though, again, emotionally detached, which Scorpio energy is not. We are all up in the feels in Scorpio energy, especially the negative feels, the shadow self, if you will. The moon in Aquarius wants us to kind of, act as the higher self, the higher observer, to see the interconnectedness of our experiences, of our thoughts, of our inner realm, and how that is mirrored back to us with some exterior realm situations. The first quarter moon is always a square. They always get in the boxing ring because we have to fight it out and see where the tension is in our lives the most. The tension that we feel in life is what needs to change, what needs to transform the quickest and the fastest. So although this is like an inner conflict, it is going to push us to have an aha moment on what we need to take action on, what it is that we have to change our perception and understanding about in order for us to align with a new path to take us in a direction of moving forward. The moon is going to make an awkward interaction with Mars. Mars, of course, just freshly retrograde in Gemini energy. This is a little bit of a tension point as well because we're feeling a little bit frustrated. Why? Because Mars is now on an inner realm journey. He's not allowed to take his energy out on the world. He's not allowed to exert himself and take action and make moves out in the outer realm. He really has to kind of sit with himself, review his choices, review his ideas, figure out which one actually deserves his physical energy, his love, his passion, his desire, even his anger. And the moon, being in Aquarius energy, is an air energy, and Mars being retrograde in Gemini is an air energy. But we're having a little bit of a conflict because there's a lot of emotions coming up from this Mars energy, mostly negative ones: frustration, irritation, agitation. And the moon in Aquarius doesn't want us to have any emotions because we need to detach from emotion in order to see our ideas, our thoughts objectively from our higher self. That is when we can kind of see a new vision take form, have an aha moment, be downloaded with inspiration, get a knowing that we can't unknow. But we got to get out of the anger, the frustration of the ego self not being able to exert itself out in the world in order for us to actually have those epiphanies be downloaded in our higher minds. The moon goes ahead, gets into the boxing ring with Venus, who is in Scorpio. You best believe that this is a little bit of a conflict. And here is why. First of all, Venus in Scorpio, she is really craving intimacy, connection. She wants to merge souls with her people. She wants a new sense of love and passion and desire. And of course, she's had to really examine what it is that she desires, but she's also had to examine what it is that she is fearing. So most times our deepest, darkest desires are kind of trapped in a wall of our deepest, darkest fears. And we have to face that wall and overcome that wall in order to actually reach our desires. Well, Venus, who is all about the feels, who is all about connection, who is all about intimacy, is getting into the boxing ring with the moon in Aquarius that would prefer to be by ourselves. We actually want to detach from our personal relationships in Aquarius energy because we need to be emotionally detached in order to see things objectively from our higher selves. So this is why there's a lot of tension here. And you know what? We're likely going to have a lot of inner conflict on what it is that we actually want, need, and desire in our lives, especially where relationships are concerned, because Venus is over here just wanting to be totally enmeshed with the like-minded people in our lives, while the moon in Aquarius just wants us to kind of veer off and dance to the beat of our own drum. There's a lot of independence, a lot of freedom, a lot of liberation that gets highlighted with the moon in Aquarius, while Venus in Scorpio wants the complete opposite of that, wants to be so freaking close and connected with the people that she loves that she actually loses where it is that she ends and kind of has a hard time seeing where other people begin. We have the moon sextiling Chiron. This is a beautiful energy, especially coming out from all of these tension-filled aspects. What we are learning from this and why we have to have these tension-filled aspects is because we need to feel the squeeze. We need to feel the pressure. We need to feel uncomfortable in order to figure out what it is that we actually need to do in life in order to find peace, harmony in our lives. Now, the square that we just had with the sun, the square that we just had with Venus, is amplifying a lot of the discontentment, the dissatisfaction that we're actually having in our lives, especially when it comes to our personal relationships. Because we're in Scorpio season, and Scorpio season does a deep dive in the shadow realm of our experiences, we are peeling back the layers of our unconscious self to reveal where it is that we've actually been keeping our wounds alive and well, and where it is that we have basically been allowing our unconscious selves to create blockages from pursuing the path of healing, from pursuing the path of our passions and our desires. So with the moon now sextiling Chiron, which is the wounded healer, by the way, this is a huge, significant sign for us that the inner conflict that we just experienced, that tension point, that uncomfortability, has led us to have an aha moment that is life-changing. Why? Because we realize where it is that we've grown, where it is that we need to grow, where it is that we need to improve ourselves and our relationships, and where it is that we've done a lot of that work. And mostly, this is about the perception of our wounds, recognizing them, bringing the unconscious self into the consciousness. Sometimes we need to be shook up. Sometimes we need to have our back against a wall. Sometimes we need to get angry and frustrated in order for us to pay attention to our emotions to see where it is that change is needed the most. And the moon in Aquarius, blending its energies with Chiron, who is retrograde in Aries energy, is like an aha moment on who it is that we've been, who it is that we are, and who it is that we desire to become. And a lot of this is intertwined with our shadow selves, who it is that we've been because of our pain, because of our trauma, because of our suffering, because of our wounds, who it is that we are because we've allowed those particular experiences to shape us, and who it is that we will now desire to become as we heal those particular wounds within us and fill the voids that, of course, out in the real world, we're attracting people that will mirror back those wounds to us in order to keep the pain and the trauma bond alive. So this is an aha moment. This is a shift in perception. This is a healing time where we are starting to see our own lives, our own pain, our own trauma from a different set of eyes. And because of that understanding and perception, we're able to heal certain layers of ourselves. The moon is going to square, get into the boxing ring with the true node, our soul's path, our destiny point. This is merely just going to create a lot of confusion because, of course, the moon in Aquarius wants to show us where emotionally we desire to move from here. However, we're in eclipse season. We actually don't have a clear path. We actually don't have the power right now to manifest the kind of wants, needs, and desires that we, from our ego self, think that we need in our lives because we're at the mercy of the universe. Our higher selves and our higher team in the higher realms of intellect can see the greater, grander plan and can see what we need more than we can see it. And so we're having a little bit of an issue here because we can't identify the path forward. We don't know what our next step is. Emotionally speaking, we're feeling a lot of craziness, a lot of chaos, because of course we're in Scorpio season where extremes are the thing to do. And because of that, and because we are on the day of the first quarter moon, which always gives us an urgency to take action, to make a move, to commit to a choice and a decision, we're feeling a little verklempt, a little cluster-effed in our emotions, in our headspace, because we don't know what the future is. We don't know what the path should be. We don't know what the next step is. And that, of course, can create a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear in our emotions. The moon is going to semi-square, create a little bit of a tension point with Jupiter, who is just freshly retrograded back into Piscean energy. You best believe that this is going to overwhelm us to a point where many of us are just going to check out from reality and live in la la land until this particular energy passes. Now, granted, the moon in Aquarius does help us to emotionally detach from our circumstances, to see it from a bird's eye perspective, a bird's eye view. But Jupiter, who's all about turning the volume up on whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling, who magnifies whatever energy that he's currently sitting in, is sitting in Pisces. That is some overwhelming feels. We don't know if the energy that we're picking up on is ours or other people's. All we know is that we're feeling very overwhelmed. We are sitting within ourselves. We don't know what our vision is. We don't know what our dream is. We're personally exhausted. We don't want to try anymore. We just want, somebody to tell us what to do or what the right answer is. We are, again, Jupiter freshly retrograde in Pisces. Go listen to the astro forecast. This is our opportunity to reconnect with our higher selves, to recalibrate our energies, to redefine what our dreams and our goals are. But guess what? We are not there yet. So now we're feeling overwhelmed. Many of us are going to want to turn to living in la la land because that personally is better circumstances than our personal reality is at the moment. And we are kind of all caught up in the feels. And that may push us to want to numb, to want to disassociate, to want to escape our here and now. The moon goes ahead, gets into the boxing ring with Uranus. Uranus rules over Aquarius energy. And any time that we are interacting with the ruler of the energy that the moon is sitting in, you best believe it's going to be a jolt to the system. Now, Uranus is retrograde in Taurus energy. Uranus is the great awakener. He likes to shock us. He likes to throw wild card energies at us and throw wrench into our plans. He wants to disrupt our, I'm going to say, fixed routines. He wants to disrupt our relationships. He wants to disrupt our finances, our value system. Why? Because we get too fixated. We get too locked in, too attached to some of the people, places, things, titles, possessions here in the physical realm. And Uranus's whole lesson, retrograde in Taurus, is to show us where it is that we're too intertwined, too attached with some of these labels, some of these people, some of these items, if you will, and where it is that we have to work to free ourselves from that. Now, the moon in Aquarius gets into the boxing ring with Uranus, and there is a lot of emotional chaos. There's a lot of mental confusion. There is a coldness, a rigidity. We get kind of in a space where we get so overwhelmed because we don't know what we're thinking. We don't know what we're feeling. We get so overwhelmed that we just want to shut down. We push people away. We want to sit in our funk, but we want to sit there by ourselves. And we have to remember we're in Scorpio season, which is dabbling into the depths of our darkness in order to illuminate the hidden truths about what we're holding alive and well in our pain and our trauma bonds in order for us to still kind of be attached to those people, places, and things that our pain and our trauma has created for us. Again, physical realm topics and themes. So this is not going to feel good, but what we know to be true is that when there's a breakdown in our emotions, we're preparing for a breakthrough. When we know that there is a breakdown in our thoughts and in our mental plane, we are preparing for a breakthrough and clarity. So although this is a tough aspect, we can expect that this is setting us up for an aha moment that will totally change our perception, our understanding, and our perspective moving forward. We are going to end the day off with the moon coming up to, bumping into, sitting next to, teaming up with Saturn. Saturn also rules over Aquarius energy. Saturn is now direct in Aquarius energy. And this is a twofold energy, and I'll break it down for you. First of all, this is a beautiful energy, if we can tap into the positives of this, for us to take a grounded, logical, practical approach on what it is that we have to actively engage in and start building in our lives as far as new routines, new systems, new structures, in order for us to kind of bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we desire to be on the path of our own happiness. Now, Saturn, having been just retrograde for the last 5.5 months in Aquarius energy, was supposed to be showing us where it is that we had to have better boundaries put in our life so that we're not constantly backburnering our own wants, needs, and desires to do what we think other people want us to do or do what we think other people expect us to do, and instead start honoring ourselves. So now that Saturn is direct, we're like, okay, we have a new karmic chapter for us to jump into, which requires us to jump into new roles and responsibilities, which requires us to have new commitments, new obligations. And what do we need? We need discipline. What do we need? Structure. What do we need? A routine. So the moon in Aquarius is shining a bright light on where it is that we can be a little bit more innovative in our lives, where it is that we can grow and expand our experiences, especially jumping into these new roles and responsibilities. And it gives us a little bit of a big picture moment on what it is that we have to be actively working towards. Now, the downside to this energy that I hope you can avoid, if you can at all, is that we are kind of letting negative Nancy come into the realm, that we're letting Betty the bully have a little bit of a stab at our mental health here, that we are so weighted down and burdened by some of the roles and responsibilities in our lives, the tasks, the chores, the projects that we have to do, that we have to build. It's almost like we get overwhelmed with the new chapter that we're about to walk into, that we don't even know where to start. Now, the Aquarian energy, again, should emotionally detach us so that we can look objectively at what it is that we have to do and what it is that we have to get to work and building. But even still, there's a lot of responsibility there. There's a lot of weight that we have to now carry and now bear on our shoulders until we can get this new routine, this new system, this new foundation, off the ground, if you will. We have to stabilize it. We have to make sure it's strong enough in order to house the dreams that we're about to build on it. So I would say that we, bringing into our awareness how this energy can actually manifest for us, that if we could keep it to the brighter side of things, that this is a beautiful opportunity to think logically and practically, strategically, if you will, on what it is that we're about to bring to life in our realms. But of course, if you're sitting in the shadow realm, which of course many of us are in Scorpio season, you might just feel the weight of the world be that much heavier than what it is that you've already been carrying.